most deaths in VGA. He has 6.5 deaths per game as the carry right now, so they need to really figure things out from a draft perspective.
All right, well, draft is already underway and they are rattling through. It's going to be Kestrel and Grace Band away from this one. Lyra is the first pickup, though. Gankstars really liking going with that Lyra. Vayne's obviously very comfortable on that pickup. And this has been a consistent first pick generally across the last few weeks. It's kind of, if you don't want to go for those heavy power picks like the Grumpjaw, like the Baron, then Lyra's a very good fallback. Yeah,
Vox is open now. Vox would be a great pick for Nova. Truth is very proficient on Vox. I like Gankstars draft here, denying a strong hero that Truth excels at, which is Kestrel. And then Nova bans Grace and they take Lyra, which means that they have two out of two of the strongest healers. They got one of them. So really good pick by Gankstars here. Nova is going to go ahead and actually instead take the Baptiste and ban Blackfeather, which is actually very smart because Blackfeather CP is really good into Baptiste, especially once he gets level 8.
It's also just taking Blackfeather away from Xenotech, forcing him to have to play something else because he has played it so frequently. However, I would assume that Gankstars may just go ahead and ban away the Vox on this pick here.
Yeah.
Because, again, they've already taken out the Kestrel from Truth. Now if they take away the Vox from him, we mentioned Truth has been struggling. He has been really struggling this season. And if you force him onto these picks that he's not as comfortable on, it's very likely to continue. But they're going to go ahead and take away the Samuel.
That's an interesting ban because maybe they think they're going to do a Captain Baptiste here and then pick Samuel for Delphi. So maybe they're targeting Delphi because Delphi is a really good Samuel player. So now this leaves Vox open for no. They need to take Vox here because Poison Shift Vox is very good against Lyra, and they can't give over a Lyra Vox composition to Gankstars. So if they do not take Vox here, they're going to really put themselves in a tough spot when it comes to draft. We'd also have Adagio Grumpjaw and Adagio Glaive open. So Gankstars is known to play double heal with a weapon carry hero as well in jungle, and that's something that Nova needs to watch out for as well.
So the Idris going to be locked on in here for Nova, going very aggressive with this composition. A lot of damage available for Nova. We'll see what they're going to finish this one off with for captain-wise. What do we think about this Idris pick?
I mean, Idris it has strengths, but it's a bit early in the draft to pick it up for me for a team that is struggling. If you're a team that is very confident in your abilities, then you can go ahead and grab that Idris and just feel like you can outplay your opponents, but I just don't feel like Nova are at a situation where that's necessarily the case. Vox is, again, very likely to be an option here for Gankstars unless they do want to go for the Adagio Grumpjaw. Grumpjaw is a pick that Xenotech is very much a fan of playing, so we could very much see that, but it's going to be the Baron. We didn't even really touch on the fact the Baron was still open this late in the draft.
Both Baron and Grumpjaw made it through the bans, and that could just be a double pick, right?
Baron isn't that good to Idris, but Lyra's Bulwark does limit his mobility, Idris' mobility. But also, if they have Baptiste, why are they picking Idris? Because Baptiste is really good against melee. So Gankstars is going to go ahead and take Baron with a CP Grumpjaw. Again, this kind of worries me because if Nova can get to scale and get that Baptiste to scale, he's going to outscale the CP Grumpjaw here. So this is looking like a very interesting matchup now. I think it could be even.
Alright, so Suijay not confident with Gankstars draft so far. Bacon, what are you thinking for this final pick for Nova?
Well, they're going to have to get someone who is tanky, and so I think like Arden would fit that bill, but they're going to go with a Rhyme, so this is going to be the Captain Baptiste. The Rhyme is iffy against the Baron for me just because Rhyme wants to stick on a target and be right up next to them. Obviously, after the jump jets are down, then the Baron is very susceptible, but he should never really be in range to have that be a threat.
We'll see if that's going to be the case. Very heavy melee composition coming out, but also, what are we assuming? Captain Baptiste? Yeah. Is that the only one out of these three that can be a captain, I'd assume?
Yeah, it's going to be Captain Baptiste for sure, I feel. Rhyme is going to be a very hard counter into Grumpjaw. He's going to get rooted. Yep. There's a Baptiste Ordain. There's a Rhyme Stun. There's a lot going on in Nova's kit to shut down the Grumpjaw. But they do need to get onto that Baron because if they let Iraqi just hail damage from afar, then they'll probably lose a lot of the fight. So they need to find a way to get onto the Baron.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that Iraqi very proficient with Baron from last season, from the last times we've played him, or we've seen him played as well. We want to know who you're supporting going into potentially the final game of Saturday here. It's going to be Gankstars up against Nova. Hashtag Vainglory8 is how you can let us know who you're going to be voting for as we head onto the Halcyon Fold. Let's pass it over once again to our casters.
Thank you very much, Munchables. And it is Nova looking for their first win here in the North American VG8 since being promoted last split. Going to be looking for it with a rhyme, though, Scoundrel. Talk to me about what you think perhaps could be the problem with picking Rhyme, though, into Gankstars composition.
So Rhyme traditionally is very bad into double ranged, just because he needs to have the ability to get a lot of regeneration in the middle of a team fight. He's traditionally picked into, frequently into heavy melee compositions. For Rhyme to function in this composition, he's going to need to get early journey boots or off the back of war treads from Starboy, or they are going to rely on Starboy to land Ordains, or they are going to rely on Starboy to land Ordains. So it's very important that he either functions off mobility or functions off the back of those Ordains from Starboy.
Very interesting rotations coming out of Nova. They actually sent Truth towards the backs to help out Lone Delphi. Now, Rhyme's known for his power farming ability. Will hit level 2 off his fronts, but it's going to be Gankstars securing this treant for themselves in the center. And now Starboy's in a bit of trouble. Lone Delphi will be turned upon. Good Bad Mojo will slow everyone down. Fantastic ability, Bad Mojo. 60% slow for about a second. It's pretty strong at allowing your folks to escape.
If there's one point in the game that you can look to try and punish a Rhyme, it's definitely early on. And if you're going to have those early double weapon blades in the jungle going towards what's looking to be like an on-hit build for the Grumpjaw, you can try and put pressure on Rhyme earlier rather than later. Because if you get to the late game, when you get that mobility built up, you get Journey Boots rushed quite early for Lone Delphi, you're going to have War Treads for Starboy. They might actually be able to catch up to Iraqi and land that route, which is very important, even post jump jets from Iraqi Zorro. So I think there is a point in the game where Gankstars have a massive advantage. The other thing that you should think about is as the game progresses, you still have a Baron, right? It's still a Baron, he's still going to scale. We've got to fight.
Yeah, we've got to fight. Lone Delphi looking for Xenotech here. Going to be charging on forward. Truth also in lane doing a bit of work for the Chakrams to really chunk through. But Nova not able to find anything there, so they are just going to rotate towards the center and secure this Elder Treant.
Yeah, nothing too big coming off the back of that. Starboy able to shut down Grumpjaw. That's kind of what Batiste is picked into.
Starboy is very dead. Oh, no, he's not. Yes, he is. There it is. Auto attack comes out. First blood goes over to Iraqi. I don't know why he stepped forward. Can Lone Delphi clean up? Good route, but Truth doesn't have his Chakram just yet. Throws it out now. Can they get in range? Iraqi's got the escape, but maybe Xenotech doesn't. The Scout Trap gonna secure the kill. And does it go over to Starboy? Yes, it does, of course. He throws a thanks out as it goes down as well.
I actually like that Iraqi knew that he could potentially execute himself on the Scout Trap, and you give the gold over to Starboy. You're giving the gold over to Starboy instead of giving it over to something like Truth or Lone Delphi, because they would have probably functioned better with that little bit of extra gold income in that situation. As the game goes on, though, you still have a weapon power Idris too, which I know you talk about ever so often. Actually, I'm not entirely sure, but in this situation, do you think Idris is going to be able to function if you get a rush onto Iraqi Zorro, either land Ordained or try and get a route on him? That's going to be pretty easy pickings for weapon power Idris. You'd have to feel.
You'd have to feel, but with the jump jets, the ability to escape the Ordained, that's your CC gone. You need Lone Delphi being able to get on top of the Baron, so it kind of feels like Truth is going to be on his own here to really 1v1 Iraqi Zorro. Usually you have to have hard CC to be able to force Iraqi Zorro into a bad position. It just kind of feels like maybe Truth can force a jump jets and then Starboy is able to put the Ordained on, but Batiste is not as good in the captain position for one reason alone. His Ordained range is pretty low. It did get buffed a little bit, Scoundrel, but it's not high enough that you're constantly in range for the Ordains, which means that it's super difficult to actually lock down the Baron.
One of the other thing that is important to note is how good Lyra is at shutting down traditional mobility, which when I say traditional mobility, I mean literally running at them fast. Lyra's pretty good at shutting that down with Bright Bulwark specifically. Obviously great at stopping those gap closing abilities too, but also pretty good at stopping people who just run very quickly at you, because you get that team-wide slow, and especially post-war treads, that'll be pretty crucial to trying to keep Iraqi Zorro healthy and alive in a lot of these team fights. And also, something that we haven't touched on, how good Grumpjaw ultimate is against Rhyme in general. If you can just Grumpja ultimate Rhyme and you take him out of the fight regardless, like, then you don't have to worry about Rhyme for a good few seconds. And then one of the really good ways to deal with the Rhyme, especially in teamfights, is isolating him. So either putting him in the Grumpja ultimate and then bringing him to a situation where the team can't really back him up. Another good way of dealing with the Rhyme in a teamfight situation for Gankstars.
Yeah, certainly is. And we actually see Xenotech going towards this on-point, on-hit effect build once more. This Tension Bow Aftershock coming out, you would think, on the Grumpjaw here. It's very strong, obviously, into it. He may even go Stormcrown. I have to see. He's diving on in. Good Ordained, they're going to shut down that Stuffed immediately. That is the one thing that Nova can certainly do, is shut down Xenotech's engaged with a well-timed Ordained. And Truth going to land a lot of damage onto Araki Zoro, but everyone on Nova's pretty low here. They have a Fountain available, as does Vanes, and of course, as a Lyra, he can heal. You'd have to think that Gankstars are pretty happy sticking around to defend the turret.
I'm wondering, I don't know, was Xenotech held on to his ultimate there? Oh no, he must have used it. He's used maybe it's on cooldown. And she tries to go in onto Lone Delphi.
Yeah, it's Lone Delphi on a Rhyme. He doesn't care. It was an Ordained actually stopped the stuff there, Alexandra.
Right. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because I was wondering where he'd used it. I was thinking he could use it on the Rhyme when the Rhyme was isolated and then drag him back towards the turret. But yeah, I think the Ordained shut him down. I think it's also why you're seeing Xenotech rush what seems to be a reflex block very early on here, especially post 6. It's going to be so important that he reflex blocks out of those Ordains, one of the only ways that really shuts down his ultimate so easily. And I think you can see that from Xenotech. Very, very important for him there. And you can see he's already picked it up now going towards the Aftershock.
Yeah, fantastic item there. Use it as soon as he dives on in. Gankstars very happy to kind of allow the pace to be set by the side of Nova. They don't need to rush for team fights. They don't need to rush for objectives. But if they do find Lone Delphi all by himself, then perhaps they can look for fights. They want Araki Zoro to scale up. They want Xenotech to complete his very gold-efficient build. Another fight breaking out. Xenotech is in the middle of this Ordained. That's a huge root onto Araki Zoro. He's going very low. He gets the Fountain, but it's not enough. And it's going to be Lone Delphi finding the kill. Now he can sustain. Another one goes over to Truth, and Xenotech's on the run. Starboy with the Ordained coming up. He pops it down. The root goes out. Xenotech gets stunned. Can they find the kill? Starboy, can he find it? Truth throws out the Chakram. Hits once, but not twice, and it will be Starboy finding the third.
But they did delay the ace, which might mean they're able to get back and defend this turret. It'll be very close. No, I don't think it's going to be able to be defended. Araki Zoro probably going to be there just a little bit too late to allow that to happen. And the first turret of the game goes over to Nova. Araki Zoro used the jump jets. He might be dead.
Yeah, he might be. He gets rooted on down. He gets blown on up. Cannot afford mispositioning like that against this composition from Nova. It only feeds into their win conditions. Vanes throwing out these auto attacks. They're looking for Starboy here. Xenotech does so much damage, but Lone Delphi is very, very tanky and very happy to take these long brawls out. Xenotech realizes his mistake. Truth gets a heal. Gonna throw out that Chakram, and Vane's able to dodge it. Has that portal and will go home. Gankstars are actually on the back end. We haven't really talked about it, but it is a 3.5 gold advantage currently to Nova.
Yeah, I mean, they've actually managed to generate a massive mid-game lead here, Nova, against Gankstars, a team that was predicted to kind of walk over them. Nova have got some incredibly good players on their side. Truth was heralded as one of the best players of the VIS in the previous season, I believe. Starboy and Lone Delphi, I mean, I know Fuji used to talk about Lone Delphi as kind of a prodigy in the jungle. This is a team made up of incredibly skilled players who haven't yet found a platform to succeed with. Looks like they brought out this kind of unique composition. I love the combo between the Ordained and Rhyme. I think it was the one way that you could make the Rhyme work into this particular composition. What I do want to see from Vanes, though, a little bit more defensive. He needs to be there for Araki Zoro to be able to use those Bright Bulwarks. I definitely think Araki Zoro has to save those jump jets defensively. Every time we've seen Gankstars lose in a fight, Araki Zoro has been using those jump jets to get offensively into position. Don't think that's the way, realistically, that Gankstars win these fights. You should be peeling, you should be trying to disengage, and you should be getting Araki Zoro to the late game so that then he can use those really defensive... oh wait, we've got a fight.
Yeah, Vanes gets stunned here. Lone Delphi's trying to get into position. Vane's not really the main target. Xenotech can look to go forward. Worth noting, this jump jet has been overdriven, so he now is able to escape the CC lock. Oh, stuff doesn't quite connect from Xenotech. That's a lot of damage coming out of Truth, and his Chakram almost completed his full damage build. In fact, almost has the gold to finish it as well. Nova going to push forward. Vane's in a lot of trouble. Does almost lose his life, but is able to escape. If only a Shimmer Strike came out, that would have been a dead Veins, would have had to have popped his Fountain if he wanted to survive there. Xenotech's looking for an engage here. Nova looking pretty confident to just walk away from this one. Truth has a lot of gold in his pocket, and I think he's going to want to try and spend it after they get this gold miner.
Yeah, Lone Delphi also been kind of restricting income for Xenotech, who is yet to finish his Aftershock. A very early game focus build.
Oh, Ion Cannon
It gets
steals
stolen. They steal it.
steals the crystal miner. Gold miner goes down. You should never lose a gold miner when you have a chakra on your dress. That is just Nova underestimating the power of Ion Cannon there.
I actually think they got distracted as a team as Xenotech and Veins were making aggressive moves. They just kind of forgot that Ion Cannon, even though this is a weapon power Baron, Ion Cannon does do quite a bit of damage. So I think they just kind of underestimated the Ion Cannon there. A little bit lackluster, and it is a free steal for Gankstars, giving them a much needed gold injection as they move towards a third weapon power item on Iraqi Zoro here, now working towards what either could be a Tornado Trigger or another Tyrant's Monocle.
We're at a very interesting point in the game, Scoundrel, because
Yeah.
I don't think either of us expected this composition from Nova to work,
Not really.
realistically. But it is, and you know, full credit to Nova. They are making this work. The question is how long for, because Iraqi Zoro does scale up huge, and Xenotech is going to continue to be a bit of a threat on this Grumpjaw. I wonder if there's a clock ticking over the heads of Nova, whether or not their composition gets stronger in the late game as the fights become a little bit more chaotic, a little bit more all-in, or if it becomes weaker. Because currently, I'm struggling to see if they win this game, if they delay it. And currently, they're not really pushing the ticket out enough to be forcing the gold lead that they have.
The one thing I'm worried about for Nova specifically is everyone's still on tier 1 boots apart from Idris, who's on tier 2. In a composition that really relies on having good mobility to get your heavy hitting Rhyme into the backline to deal with Iraqi Zoro, especially now Iraqi Zoro has overdriven those jump jets. We've got another fight breaking out here.
Xenotech swallowed up Starboy. He's going to walk straight into a lot of damage, and that's him dead and done for. The turret goes down. It's going to be Truth looking for a kill into Xenotech, but the Fountain will happily keep him alive. Truth uses that Shroud Step to escape. They're going to target down the Idris. Good reflex block. Keeps him alive. And he is just going to walk away on a sliver of HP.
And this is the problem. Like, as soon as you put on the back foot here, you don't really have any
he might die.
recovery
Okay, never mind.
You don't really have any recovery mechanisms for Nova. You know, as soon as that happens, you don't really have any way of putting pressure onto Iraqi Zoro. Wait a second.
Truth
Nope.
just walked in and got destroyed. Lone Delphi doing a lot of work to Iraqi. Oh, can't quite find the kill though. He's trying to get in there, but Xenotech noms him. Gonna spin him out immediately. He says no. Fearsome Shape flies out. Fears 2. Iraqi though just gonna start laying into Lone Delphi, and that's gonna be another kill going over to the Baron here. Starboy, there's no escape for this, but he sets a double for Iraqi Zoro, and perhaps that ticking clock has finally blown up.
Well, he's got 2,500 gold now. He's going to be able to finish his 4-item build and pick up a bit of defense to boot. One of the best ways to deal with the Rhyme, and I think there's we really exemplified it this one ranked game I think me and Dowsey played a while back. You basically kite in and out of him. You basically say, okay, someone take a little bit of damage from Rhyme while we then do some damage from afar. Then someone jumps out, someone jumps in. You basically keep Rhyme moving all the time, because if you can keep him if he keeps in one space, he's able to then get basic attacks, build up fortified health, get loads of regeneration from Eve of Harvest. The way that you deal with the Rhyme is keep him moving, force him to have some extra mobility to make the plays. And right now, Rhyme had used his boots, he'd used those sprints. Iraqi Zoro was then able to jump out as he was being focused, gets a couple of basic attacks in, suddenly Xenotech becomes the focus, and then Iraqi Zoro then forces Rhyme to come back towards him. It was a really good way of dealing with it, and they seem to have found the ticket now, especially as Iraqi Zoro picks up that Tornado Trigger as his 4th item.
Truth diving forward, he's on top of Iraqi here, but he's getting blown up. He just can't stand the damage, and Iraqi will take his life. It's Starboy and Lone Delphi now to fight the fight, but Lone Delphi just gets destroyed. Where is the defensives on the side? Yes, they have Atlas, but what does Atlas do against a Baron? Almost nothing. It's not effective, and I have to question Starboy's intentions here. You mentioned already the boots problem for the side of Nova. He's gone down an Echo route here, so he can have a double Fearsome Shade or a double Ordained, and I just don't feel like it works into the win conditions of Nova.
without the mobility to back it up, you're just going to be forcing Gankstars even further away from you, right? And that's not kind of what you want. You do want Gankstars to be close to you because that's where Rhyme is going to function. I think Nova got so far ahead, they felt that they could prioritize their offensive capabilities. You saw Rhyme go a Broken Myth before even getting he's still not got tier 2 boots. Look, I hold my hand up. I'm not the best Rhyme player in the world, but one thing I do know about Rhyme is Journey boots are just such a good item for him, because especially against the ranged composition. I think they neglected the mobility needed to make this composition work because they were doing so well in the early game. Now we've got to the late game, they can't actually keep up with the pace of Gankstars because they don't really have the mobility to do it.
They need mobility, they need to get in there, and they can't. Gankstars are learning and kiting and walking away. Nova, they've taken control of this middle area for now. Gankstars going to start pushing the wave back towards their base as Nova advance towards Gankstars here. They want to engage, get on top of the side of Gankstars and try and blow up this Baron, but they haven't had the chances to yet. Seriously, 3 Atlas Pauldrons, perhaps it's to focus down the Xenotech. They're starting up the Kraken here, trying to bait Gankstars into a fight. Ordain goes down onto a Xenotech, he happily just walks out of it. Nova, they've got the fight they want. Do they want that? No, look at that damage. Oh no, they've swallowed it up. The Rhyme, Xenotech's gonna spit him out, and that's gonna be Lone Delphi going down to an auto attack. Here comes Araki Zoro looking for Starboy, and Starboy's in a lot of trouble. Xenotech sets him up. Good fearsome shade will save his life. Truth already ported back, didn't want any of it. Scoundrel.
That was case in point right there about how good the ultimate of Grumpjaw is against Rhyme. Isolate a Rhyme away from his carries, the ability for you to then dive and dance around him. He becomes mincemeat against the double range composition. Easy Kraken take for Gankstars right now. They're going to just lavish this, and they're going to put pressure now onto Starboy once more.
Starboy and Truth are dead. I don't see a way they escape. That's the Shroud Step. Yeah, it dodges out. A lovely use of the stuffed, but oh no, never mind. Truth done it. He went on and done it. He blew up the Baron. I don't know how, but he's done it, Scoundrel. Now they can look to prevent the losses here with the Kraken. It's going to hit this second turret, but without the Baron to push, Gankstars are not going to even attempt.
No, I think this might get 1 turret, this Kraken here. As soon as Truth comes back, this should be starting to chunk down pretty quickly. I just think, personally, Iraqi Zoro kind of, again, made the same mistake that, I don't know, this might not even get 1 turret. This will just literally be a free Kraken gold over to Nova. One of the major mistakes I saw there was Iraqi Zoro overestimating his own damage and also kind of disrespecting getting into melee range versus Truth, who on this weapon power Idris will just chunk him if he gets into that kind of range. Again, the way that we've been seeing Gankstars win these fights is by Iraqi Zoro using defensive jump jets to get himself into a good position, far enough away from this double melee threat to really function heavily as that ranged weapon power carry. In that situation, he jumped in, looking to blow up Truth, who is sitting on an Atlas Pauldrons right now. You're not going to kill him in 2 hits. I mean, you might take 3, but you know those double hits in the jump jets aren't going to get a singular kill this time round. And Iraqi Zoro kind of overestimating his damage there.
Yeah, it's going to be Truth diving in. Araki Zoro, though, able to jump out of that Ordain. Fearsome Shade comes through, does knock Veins back. Can Araki survive? Jumps again. The Truth has him on his sides, and that will be a kill going over. They're starting to win the fights here. They're isolating Veins. The secret to blowing up a Baron, remove his healing. And Veins has been struggling. Gets caught in a Fearsome Shade now, trying to survive. The Ordain stuns him, but they're not chasing up. Truth gonna go in. Truth should be able to secure this with the Chakram. That is huge. You know, I often find it, Scoundrel, when you can't kill the Baron, you can't kill the person who is, you know, dealing the most damage, you just start turning towards the captain instead. Nova, they've put pressure onto Veins here, and it's opened up Araki Zoro to death.
Now, what I really liked, actually, there was that now Starboy has got the War Treads as they push onto this choke point turret. Starboy had the War Treads. They rushed in, they put an Ordain onto Iraqi that forced him to make a very defensive jump jet, which was good. But then, Lone Delphi, who's now got tier 2 boots, popped those boots to chase Iraqi Zoro down. It's the mobility needed to pressure the Baron after he's used those jump jets, which was so important there. War Treads, finally making a difference here, like, you know, we thought it would, and by forcing Araki Zoro to make that kind of jump jets early, by just getting out of the Ordain, because he doesn't have reflex block, because he's gone to a metal jacket, he then doesn't have the ability to lock down the route from Lone Delphi. So there's two ways now of looking at this Baron, and the stuttering of that from Nova is just so good in these team fights. He's
Lone
actually
Delphi-
got 4 treads, by the way.
Yeah, I like this extra health, extra team mobility. When you need to get into the team fight, having the Idris lead the charge, not a bad shout. No, Delphi's gone towards extra armor. He's not going a third offensive item. They've separated Veins. They could look to blow him up. That's the second Fearsome Shade, knocking Xenotech back. But Nova don't want to hard commit to the fight, and now they're going to get engaged upon. Oh no, they've dived onto Xenotech, onto Araki, as the rest of his team dives away. Araki able to escape, turning now on their attentions to Xenotech and Veins here, doing a lot of damage, and Veins very low. The Chakram rips through, finds the kill. Lone Delphi charging. Araki is dead. Xenotech is dead. Nova have done it. They found an ace here, a scoundrel, with 40 seconds on the clock. They're looking for their first game win here in the VG8.
And do you know what won that team fight for them, Dalsy? Starboy's War Treads. That basically ran them right through onto Iraqi Zoro, forced him into an uncomfortable position because they had the sort of the ability to follow up Iraqi after using his jump jets. Iraqi is gone for the metal jacket. In this situation, especially once War Treads came out, it might have been better to even have that reflex block on board and the Aegis, but I guess he was so threatened by the weapon power Idris, he felt that he needed those the metal jacket there. But man, Nova bringing it back in this series. So we're going all the way to game 3.
Certainly are, scoundrel. Huge mistake made there by Nova at the end, by Gankstars at the end. Left Xenotech by themselves. Vayne, Araki Zoro dive forward, and it allowed Lone Delphi and Troop to just charge straight onto the Baron, opening it.